All right, so this phone here, the OnePlus 15, has been a breath of fresh air in a lot of different ways. When this came onto the market, this was a phone from OnePlus that was trying to send a message to the bigger brands, right? Your Apple, your Samsung, Google in some respects with some of their more premium offerings, that you can, in fact, deliver a well-rounded overall phone experience without breaking the pockets of your consumer base. Now, breaking the bank is going to be a bit of a relative term, right? This is a phone that still comes in at $1,000, but there's a more competitive price point than the yearly iterations that you're getting from those other brands, right? And what I can say is that over these last 3 months, this has been a breath of fresh air. There's a lot here to love, right? OnePlus really wanted to sit down and bring forth to the fray the biggest day-to-day consumer relevant aspects of a device and package them in a phone. So while this is a phone that doesn't have a ton of frills, what it does have is a lot of practicality and usability across a number of different domains. So if you guys are new here, my name is Dave. This is where tech meets lifestyle, and I'm gonna break down for you guys why the OnePlus 15 has actually been like a solid sleeper banger phone. I really loved it. The one big thing that I think is going to be a miss for some people, and some of the more nuanced pluses and minuses along the way. Now, the big core pillar here is that OnePlus put forward, right, was focused more on everyday usability instead of like spec bragging. If you know, you know. And so the huge benefits here on the OnePlus 15 are going to be that battery life, the charging speeds, and honestly, in my experience, the overall smoothness of the display and the overall UI as a whole whenever you're picking this up and actually using it, right? So you guys have already seen all of the first hands-on reviews for the OnePlus 15. You already know the charging speeds are absolutely ridiculous. We're getting 100-watt charging speeds, and to boil that down to give you guys an idea, for those of you who don't actually know, you can get 50% battery charge in about 20 minutes, and you can get a full battery charge in about 45 to 50 minutes, which is significantly faster than anything else on the market. And some of you guys might be thinking that for an hour, you're probably thinking that most of your phones can get close to that. But the difference is that most of those phones that you guys are using right now have like 4,000 to 5,000 milliamp hour batteries. This bad boy is touting a 7,300 silicon carbon milliamp hour battery. What does that mean? That means this phone is by far the best phone battery device I have personally used, where I can take this off the charger early in the morning around like 7:30, 8 a.m. I can take pictures, I can answer phone calls, emails, I can play games, go through social media, research different things either for my next video or for other things that I'm doing, and I can come home and not have that battery anxiety that you get with some other devices. Now, what you're getting here is a 6.78-inch LTPO AMOLED display that is a 1.5K display panel and can give you 165 Hertz refresh rate. And what I can tell you flat out is just every single day that you're using this thing for literally anything at all, they did an amazing job here, really nailing the visual experience, right? And I feel like that's one of those things you really can't afford to fail on when you're shipping a device, right? Because your consumer is using that display for everything. There's one small caveat to that, more pertains to like the battery section, but I think it's relevant here specifically in terms of bugs. Not a game breaker by any means, but there have been some times when I'm going to actually take a picture and the physical shutter button in the phone will either like delay or just not register and I have to click it again. The only way to really remedy that in my experience, even though it doesn't happen often, it's maybe happened like 2 or 3 times. And what I had to do was either close the application or I could actually click on the volume button, and that sufficed. And I was able to take the picture. Very weird glitch, but outside of that, in terms of a display as a whole, have had absolutely zero problems. So they've done an amazing job here. Now, something to consider for the actual display brightness is that you're getting an 1800 peak nit brightness display here. And that's going to be a bit less than some of the competition, right? Where a lot of phones nowadays are coming out with anywhere between 2,000 to 3,000 nits of peak brightness for the display. In my experience, personally, anytime that I've ever brought this outside and, you know, I'm just texting people, phone calls, if I'm watching a video or something, I can see everything on the display just fine. It is noticeably not as bright as my other phones, but for my everyday use, and I imagine for a lot of you guys too, it's really not going to be a big deal. Now, although I've been really impressed with the OnePlus 15 overall, One of the biggest things that for some people might be amiss are going to be the cameras, right? Namely, nighttime photography on this. The phone just flat out kind of struggles in those conditions. You're not really going to be consistently getting good nighttime shots. For a lot of people, that's not going to matter really anyway, because most people are taking pictures throughout the day as opposed to at nighttime specifically. And what I can say is that even during daytime photos, although that's where the phone is at its best, right? It's taking pictures more confidently. You're really not going to be getting stunning photos the way that you are out of your, say, Pixel devices, Samsung devices, or your Apple devices. But again, right, some concessions have to be made. And OnePlus was never marketing the OnePlus 15 as a phone that's going to take amazing, mind-blowing pictures. They get the job done, don't get me wrong. You're not getting bad pictures. You're just not getting pictures that are going to wow you really. You're capturing moments, and that's what this is doing, so you can look back on them later or reference something later, right? That's really what this is going to be doing for you, and it does that part well. All right, so something to keep in mind for this 8K video mode is that unlike other devices, right, like say here on my Fold 7, which is usually more of my primary device, you're not getting any kind of zoom capabilities in 8K video. You're getting the one times and that is it, which I think for most people, that's gonna be pretty much fine. Most people aren't trying to zoom in an 8K video anyway, but just something for you guys to know. All right, so if you guys ask me personally when it comes to the actual zoom capabilities of the OnePlus 15, it is impressive that you can zoom up to 120 times. But if you ask me personally, in terms of like the actual quality that you're getting out of that 120 times zoom, I'm not particularly certain if that's anything that's going to be super exciting to write home about. The actual quality is a bit blurry. I mean, it is cool. It's a cool party trick to show off to a friend or family member. But in terms of the actual image that you're getting to share with someone as a memory or something, as you can see, there is a lot of heavy lifting here by the AI to try and smooth things over and give you like a clearer image, but it kind of makes things a bit muddy. Whether or not you're going to like that is completely going to be up to you. For video, 4K 60 and 4K 120 FPS on this do look good. As a whole, this as a pocket camera that you're bringing with you to capture and relive those memories, it does a really solid job. I can't say the pictures and video here are bad. Things look good. For most people, I think just having a reliable battery where you can do everything you want to do on your phone is going to be the most triumphant factor as it pertains to the OnePlus 15. Yeah, if that's going to matter to you guys let me know in the comment section down below. It kind of gives me a barometer for what things you guys care about the most in a device. For me, I prefer a phone that has better cameras, but because the battery and the charging capabilities and the screen are all so good, I feel like most people can overlook it. Now, when the OnePlus 15 first came out, it was making really big waves because the back was a fiberglass reinforced plastic material that feels really good in the hand. This is something that is really hard to describe unless you actually go in person and feel it yourself. I guess the closest thing I could say is that it kind of feels like a matte material, but it feels great in the actual hand as well as like the overall phone as a whole. And the biggest thing was that you were able to scratch the phone, and even when you scratched it like that, you could just kind of, for the most part, almost completely wipe it away. What I can say is that in the very beginning, that is the experience that you have here, where it basically seems like the phone is impervious to any kind of scrapes or scratches, and the phone just always looks really nice. But over time, unfortunately, that has not held up quite the way that I was expecting it to over time, where those abrasions, bruising marks, some scratches and nicks. If this phone was actually impervious to damage, it'd cost a lot more than $1,000. However, they did do a really good job of creating a material here that, if you're taking care of your phone, is going to be a lot more resistant to those scrapes and scratches than some other devices. It is not scratch proof, but in terms of durability, it's held up better than some other devices in terms of that actual material. That's one of those things that if you guys went into this phone with that kind of hype, just so you know, long term, that's going to be there. That's just kind of how it is. And in the hand, this phone feels great, honestly. It feels pretty darn close to an iPhone in terms of the actual way that the corners kind of wrap into your palms and the way that it kind of angles and sits right with the curved corners. All in all, it just feels really good. The only thing that does feel different is in the back, you have the camera module that's going to be a different placement. What I found though is that this placement here has been practically helpful in that because your index finger can reach it, that almost becomes a resting point for when you're actually using your phone. Your index finger kind of naturally rests right up there, and it kind of creates like an extra anchor point for when you're using the OnePlus 15 that I've found to be pretty darn helpful. Overall, it's been a really good in-hand phone experience. The feel of the buttons is really good. The power button and volume rockers are not squishy. They're nice and clicky, they're firm. And the action button here, as with other devices on the market, the utility there is really nice, being able to click on that and access different things. Most people are going to use that for their cameras, but being able to bring up different applications and things like that, the utility on a day-to-day basis is just gonna be helpful regardless. So definitely a big plus there. Speakers here are like pretty solid. They're not going to be better than like your iPhone 15 or 16 or 17. They're not going to be better than like your Samsung Galaxy devices of the last couple of years, but they're solid. They're solid. You can hear them. They sound clear. Phone calls on this sound good. Things are clear from the speakerphone side of things. And like if you're trying to show someone a video or playing music aloud, this is gonna get the job done. They don't sound bad, but they don't sound like premium high-end the way they're getting out of those other devices. Again, some concessions have to be made in some places so that the phone can excel in other places. Again, i.e. the display, the battery, etc. And for now, that has been my experience with OnePlus 15. I think it's really been an impressive device. The price that you're paying for this and the overall package that you're getting, I don't take for granted, right, that $1,000 is still $1,000 no matter how you slice it. And if you want like a brand new shiny phone for that money, this is a really great pickup. That being said, if you ask me, if you're looking for an Android device and you want a bit more of high-end things in the camera department, then a phone that you would probably look to, right, is like a refurbished Galaxy S24 Ultra, right? That's going to give you really great camera capacity. The battery on that is really good, but it's not going to be anywhere near as good as a OnePlus 15, but that's kind of the options that I'm trying to give you guys. I'm just trying to think of like options if you guys are looking for a trade-off somewhere else to get better cameras for the same money. That's the one that comes to mind for me specifically. You do have the Pixel 9 Pro XL, or actually I didn't like the 9 Pro XL all that much. There's the 10. Well, for the money, I think the Galaxy S24 Ultra would probably be the way you'd want to go if you want better cameras. But for the money, man, I mean, overall, this is a really capable phone. It's really solid in basically every single way. As a reliable, practical device, this one checks off the boxes in pretty much every single way. They nailed it here. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comment section down below. I'll answer as many of you guys as I possibly can, of course. Also in the comment section, let me know if you guys can tell what game I have going on back there. If you can, I'll give you some emojis. Tell me what emoji you guys want, and I'll give it to you. Have a fantastic remainder of your day, afternoon, or night, depending on the time that you're watching this. And as always, peace, love, adios, bye guys, and have a great day.